Dr. Margie with the Micropractice. Today we are going to be talking all about how to have amazing confidence when you are presenting your clinical reported findings with patients. Now, a lot of chiropractors I find in my experience get a little nervous or shy when it comes to this role as chiropractors. Gosh, because ultimately at the end of this reported findings, our hope is that the patient says yes, and the patient is excited and on board with what the recommendations are going to be. But to get to that point, boy, there are a lot of steps that need to happen in order to get to this point of where the recommendations, the acceptance comes off very smooth and easy, and the patient is on the same page as you. So I have found some top ways in my experience that you can gain that confidence just by making sure that you have these steps and these checkpoints along the way. So day one, new patient in your practice needs to go through some type of consultation, some type of an assessment with you. Now, whether or not you adjust on the first visit, that's completely your call as a chiropractor. But some sort of evaluation should be happening, because ultimately, whatever findings you get from that evaluation, you want to review with the patient. In my experience in my office, when a new patient comes in, I will spend about 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes on a consultation, and we will review what has brought them in to see me and some of other pertinent things within their history. But most importantly, I'm going to talk to them about their health and wellness goals. This is so important because then this portion of health and wellness goals is going to be reviewed in their clinical report of findings. Now, some patients will put things down on this list of goals that maybe I'm not necessarily going to be the one that's going to help them with. Weight loss, for example. I don't have a weight loss system in my practice, but I sure do know a lot of people who can help them. So I like to be that resource for patients and let them know, hey, we're going to work on your health and wellness goals together, not just what you immediately think I can help you with in the practice, but your overall life and health, because I want to help it grow year after year. So that's a really big thing to make sure that you do with your patients. Now, what about some of your clinical tools and some of the assessments and objective findings that you'll get from the exam? What I use in my practice is I use the Posture Screen mobile app. It's an easy app. It's awesome. It's very easy to explain to them, and patients in my experience love it. I also have the Insight Subluxation Station, and for that I use the EMG and thermography scans, or EMG and thermal scans. So again, that's another report that I show to the patient. And for many of my adult patients, I have x-rays. So those are then going to be the reports that I have ready for them when they come back for their report of findings on the next visit. I'll have all of these papers printed out to show them step by step what this means and what I found and how it relates to how chiropractic is going to help them. So now when the patient comes back for the report of findings, as I said, all of these pages are in front of them. Now, paper is not my favorite thing. I love to keep everything as electronic as possible, but when it comes to explaining these types of details about health to a patient, I find paper is the best way to go. Plus, I just keep a scanned copy of all these documents in their chart. Then they get to take the pages home, and then they can show their spouse or friend or family member or anybody all that we had just gone through. So when I sit down and I'm creating this report of finding for the patients, I am getting everything ready and I'm marking up these different forms and these different scans and these different tools so that ultimately I create goals that we're going to work on together, and then what their plan is going to be overall. And I write all of these things out for the patient to easily understand. Now, how do I come up with what my plan is? Well, my plan is based on 3 factors. It's based on their current health status, their health and wellness goals, and my experience as a chiropractor with patients similar to them, with maybe similar history, background, concerns, etc. So their health status, that's determined during visit 1, day 1, and that's all these different tests that you've created for them to see. Their health and wellness goals, well, boy, you've already talked about that during day one. So those are easy. We're just going to plug those into the goals list, plus any other things that I may find within these objective findings. If, for example, I find that their cervical lordosis is lost or reversed, well, now that's going to be a new goal. And we're going to talk about why that's so important for them to restore that curve and how it affects the nervous system and their overall health and functioning. So those are things that I will build out. I'll bullet point out this list of goals. And then based on my experience as a chiropractor, how do I think this person's going to respond? How many visits do I think this person's going to need? How frequently am I going to see them at first? How is that going to taper off? When am I going to re-examine them? So in the plan portion of the report, I write all of that out as well. So as we review each part of this plan and they come in, everything is building up step by step by step to that last plan. And that last plan is, again, where the patient is looking at all of these findings and looking at everything that we've just discussed. And the patient always looks down and says, yeah, I completely agree. And this is absolutely the care that I'm going to need. So those are the top ways that you can help build this confidence in yourself with each report of findings that you do. The next one that you do after you watch this video, again, it may not be the best one ever, but it will help get you to that next step of getting the confidence, because ultimately, when you base the reports of findings on clinical objective findings versus just your own findings or your own assessments or feelings of the situation, I find that these objective findings patients love. They love the reports, and they love to then see what the reports are going to look like when we re-examine them. That becomes a really exciting portion of taking care of patients in the future. So these are the steps. These are the best ways I found in my experience to gain that confidence when it comes to doing this. Ultimately, one of the biggest reports and the biggest presentations that you give with your patients is this initial clinical report of findings. Thanks so much for watching, and I will catch you all guys next time. Thanks. Bye.